Another question which people they ask that how much effort or time is needed to complete ACCA, exam preparation. See, most courses. So I'm actually most courses they would take around 150 to 170 hours. Maybe there are two or three courses like F1, F4, they will take less than 150 hours, and probably there are maybe F8 will also take less than 150 hours. But there are some long courses like SBR, it might take more than 170 hours. But you can consider that most papers are between 150 to 170 hours. Now, how do I say 150 to 170 hours? Or let's call it 160 in the middle on average, maybe 10 plus minus 10 hours. See, most subjects in ACCA, their lecture, I mean, if you see the books from BPP or Kaplan, anyone, they have 15 to 20 chapters. And most, the lecture videos can be covered in 40 hours approximately for every course. I mean, I've been teaching ACCA for almost like now 17, 18 years, and I've taught many subjects. And I know that 40 hours of lecture videos are more than enough. I'm putting it on the higher side because there are some chapters which can be explained in 1 hour. There are some chapters which can be done in 2 hours, and sometime in financial reporting, probably the consolidation topic takes quite a lot of time. But otherwise, 40 hours is enough for video lectures to understand the subject matter. Then another 40 hours, 30 to 40 hours of question videos we provide, which is enough actually. So you can say that the video tutorial should not be more than 70 to 80 hours. 80 hours for the maximum side for the longer papers, okay? Even for the short papers, it could be 70 hours. So 40 hours of question lecture videos, 40 hours of say 30 to 40 hours of question videos. So 78 to 80 hours should be the video content. Then you have, because videos are in detailed, so we don't suggest reading the book. We suggest reading our own notes, which are summarized, which are enough, which are good for exam, and which save you time. So another 25 hours you can spend, 25 hours you can spend on reading the notes, okay? Because within those notes there are some chapters which, or some topics which you will very quickly browse only once, and that would be enough. And there are some other topics probably which will require more. So 25 to 30, 25 hours of reading should be enough. That makes it close to 100 hours. Then you need to do your practice yourself, which is I put another 40 hours of practicing on your own. So you have watched 40 hours of question videos where we are doing practice questions, me or maybe other tutors, whichever you do. And then 40 hours of practice you should do your own, okay? Why I put it 40 hours, I can explain it in a while. So that makes you 140 hours. 100 previously, 40 here, 140 hours. And then another 20 hours, 15 to, not 20, let's call it 10 to 15 hours of taking quizzes, progress test, and mock exams. So you are closing to 160, 170 hours, and this is where I'm talking about the long syllabus. When I said 40 hours of practice questions, imagine you are doing a paper from scales which is F5, F7, F9, section C long questions, 20 questions are enough. 20 questions are enough. If you understand them conceptually, doing 20 questions will take 20 hours, 25 hours, that will be done. And another 20, 25 hours you can spend on your section A, section B MCQs. So 40 hours, you want to spend more, maybe 50 hours of practice on your own, not more than that. You see, some students, they say, I want to do BPP kit, I want to do Kaplan kit, I want to do 100 questions from BPP, 100 from Kaplan, I don't know. It does not make sense, because even if you do 20 questions in exam, there will always be 21st question. Exam is not going to come, in exam, the questions will not come from the 20 you have done. So you said, oh, I'm not doing 20, I do 40. Okay, go ahead, do 40. In exam, there will always be a 41st question. So although practice is good, but it does not matter how much you have practiced if you have not understood. So if you have done 20 questions with good understanding, that 21st question you can solve. But if you have done 40 questions with no understanding or very little understanding or partial understanding, you will make mistake in exam in that 41st question, because exam will always have 41st question. So it is very important, like don't get, how to say, overwhelmed with this idea that I need to do 100 questions. You don't need to do 100 questions actually. You need to do questions which cover all of the topics, but I see students, they are repeating the same concept. Like the same type of question, there is a question which is asking or which requires to calculate a certain number. For example, let's call it material variance, and you are doing 50 questions for the same material variance. Does not make sense. You are repeating the same thing. What are you trying to learn? So you have done 2 questions from material variance, 3 from that should be enough. I mean, specifically if the concept is same. Yeah, if there is a variation in the data, then you should do an additional question. But like I said, that I've seen, if I go back to IFRS 16 leases, there's a question which requires you to calculate the current lease liability or non-current liability or the total liability, whatever, and you do the same question 5 times. I mean, you ask me, it looks like an effort at a lower intelligence level. You should not be doing that. You do it, you understand it, what you have done, and then you move on. Anyways, the total time which is required, 150 to 170 hours. Those who want to become more careful, maybe they can add 10 hours more. But you can make it 180 hours, but beyond that it is not going, and it should not go. Now, how do you do that? So you've got something like 10 to 11 weeks before exam. And if you divide your time 160, 170 hours by 10 or 11 weeks, it comes out to be 15 hours per week. So this is what you should be giving, 15 hours per week, but consistently. And this is on the maximum side, by the way, because I know some students, they even do less effort, they do less questions, and they probably are finishing their preparation in 130, 40 hours. It depends what are your goals. Do you want to become a nationwide prize winner? A global ranker, or do you just want to get good marks, maybe 60%, 65%, and move on? So it will depend on your effort, will depend on what your goals are. So if you really want to, I want to score 90% in FR or PM or FM, then you really have to probably do more questions and maybe 200 hours. It will be your choice. But in most cases, 160, 170 hours should be enough, which means 12 to 15 hours per week. That is the effort which you need to complete your exam preparation in 10 to 11 weeks for every paper.